Hi everyone, welcome back to JP WHU TV. It's nice to see you. I hope you're keeping well. This is the West Ham United 3, Chelsea 1 live recap of the Premier League game that happened at the London Stadium yesterday afternoon. As always, guys, this video is sponsored by the channel sponsor 3retro.com. Please click the link in the description below that will take you directly through to the West Ham section of their website, where you can purchase some really nice retro gear, guys, as you can see from the animation that's up here, along with Admiral and Umbro track jackets, polo shirts, sweatshirts and t-shirts, so go check those out. Any purchases you make through the link in the description below, the commission that the channel would normally be getting, as I always do, I'll be sending on to the charity Iron Supporting Food Banks. They're based in the Newham area and they're helping those in the Newham area and the Essex County and further afield for that matter to help people put food on their tables through this very difficult few years we've all been experiencing. So guys, go grab yourself a really nice retro shirt. You'll be saving yourself a few quid in comparison to the club shop, and to be helping those the less fortunate than you and I. So guys, as you know, there's a whole brand new format that going where you guys that are watching this live can interact with us while we're talking about the game that happened the day before. And as I said, we're going to be having guests on hopefully on a regular basis. And so without further ado, introduce a man that we never really got on, to be honest with you, when we first started chatting with each other. But all of a sudden, since he got a missus and he was getting his end away on a regular basis, he seems to come round to sense. It's we all know him. We know him well. He doesn't. Guys, if you're new to the channel, by all means, please do like, share, and subscribe. Anyway, but guys, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's James from E20 TV. James, how you doing, fella?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Yeah, time passes when you're having fun. And when you're having fun, it's all good. But now I'm very well, John. Very well.
Good. I'm glad to hear it, mate. So, okay. So what we're going to do, as I say, we're going to have a recap of yesterday. Start off by obviously talking about the starting 11. There's one change from the Bournemouth game, which, in my opinion, was pretty obvious. Flat back four with Soufal. Soufal and Emerson as the left back, I should say. When then we had we had Zuma and Aguerd as the centre backs. Obviously, Areoli keeping his place as well with Souček and James Ward-Prowse in place of Fornals, with Ben Rama, Antonio and Bowen up front. Mate, give us your thoughts on when the team sheet came through. What did you think?
I could see what he was doing. Obviously, James Ward-Prowse had to play. A bit unfair on Pablo Fornals, but I can understand it. JWP, I'll be real. I was very sceptical on him, very much. I think playing at Southampton for such a long time, you don't really see the quality of the man. But yeah, he did perform the other day, and I was quite happy with the lineup, really. Yeah, no,
it made complete sense, and it was great to see. Actually, to be honest, we'll talk about it later on, of course. But to get to see both new signings make their debuts, very, very good. So, yeah, James, talk us through the first 6.5 minutes.
I thought we started strong. Like I said it on E20. Like I thought we should come out and we was on the ball straight away, and we was up for it. Like we got a corner, and Zuma heads the ball down, and there's a bit of chaos in there. Bowen has a shot, goes out for another corner, and then we get another corner, and then JWP gets it straight on Nathan Aguerd's head, and that's the quality that you've got. We obviously losing Declan Rice is one thing, but if you can bring a midfielder and you can assist goals and do like crosses and help us in our sort of aim to score as many goals as possible to win a game, JWP is that, mate, and. A great header from Nath. It was really good. Like he read it. He pushed Conor Gallagher away enough so he can get up and get the header down. And good finish.
Yeah, very, very good finish. Exactly the way we were hoping everything was going to go. For the first time, I mean, I know we started a bit brightly against Bournemouth the weekend beforehand, but it just feels new when we see West Ham absolutely pushing for it right from the start. You know, it's obviously the new season, first home game as well, London derby. beautiful weather as well, for that matter. Everything's lining up perfect. I said in the preview, in terms of the last 6 games that we played against Chelsea prior to yesterday, the odds were looking pretty good. I think, if I remember correctly, it was like 1-3, drawn twice and only lost once against them over the last 6 seasons now. Obviously, Chelsea played very well against Liverpool the weekend before at the Stamford Bridge. Some of their new signings, again, I was calling out for, like, for example, with Jackson. I thought was a very, very good centre forward. He's going to do amazing things for Chelsea. Some of them were a little bit off their game, but in general, up until the equaliser, mate, I thought we were playing decent football.
I thought we was all right. John. I thought we was trying, but we weren't going anywhere. And then obviously Chelsea's quality and their speed was just killing us. Really, do you know what I'm saying? Raheem Sterling was just on it from minute 1 yesterday, and he was a menace from start to finish. Obviously, Jackson looks like he can be a player. It's only his 2nd Premier League games, but I think giving him time, he's going to start scoring a lot of goals in the Premier League. And I don't know. I just thought like West Ham were started off well, scored a goal. I wanted West Ham to kick on a little bit more, and they didn't. And then they allowed Chelsea to sort of build up a head of steam, and obviously we know what happened. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right. But looking at the game from a football fan's point of view, as well as a West Ham fan's point of view, Chelsea were... I mean, you don't get 75% possession throughout the entire game if you're shit. Do you know what I mean? They played very, very well, but we defended well as well for a lot of moments. That's what I'm saying about us playing very well, was the fact that what we were doing when we had possession was 10 times better than what Chelsea were able to do with it. And like you're absolutely right. Sterling was immense for throughout the majority of the game. There's a few dodgy things going on here and there in terms of decisions in the midfield, but in general, yeah. But the problem is the equaliser was basically, as far as I'm concerned, about 3 or 4 different players' faults. The only problem is the fact that Souček's been getting called out for it as a result, because he was the last one that was involved. But at the time, I've said it at the time, and I still maintain, I haven't watched any of the highlights back yet, mate. But again, guys, if you're what I can see you watching, there's 4 people watching at the minute. Put your thoughts in the live chat, because we are. This is being broadcast live, so I want to get your thoughts on what you guys are thinking. But yeah, as I say, it was just the fact that there was a bit of a mistake from ward-prowse, a little bit of miscommunication. There was a bit of an issue with what Souček was doing. He got turned quite easily to a degree. But I said it at the time, Mr. Unpronounceable. How do you pronounce it? Chukwuemeka, or however you pronounce it.
Something like that.
Well, we got 36 other games to learn it by then, mate. But honestly, it genuinely is probably one of the easiest goals he's going to get to score. From a Chelsea perspective, their level of quality, I do generally think it's probably one of the easiest goals they're going to get to score. But at the same point, it's the new old West Ham from there on out, because we didn't give up, but like you said, we didn't really challenge for much either. But having said that, though, going in at half time at 1-1, how are you feeling at that point?
Happy, mate. I was relieved to get in at half time. Obviously, they missed the penalty, didn't they? Halfway through that sort of, towards the back end of the first half, which was a good save from Mariola.
True, actually, I forgot about that, mate. Yeah, good point.
I'm going to be honest, I was very happy getting at half time 1-0. I felt West Ham in that first half showed too much respect to Chelsea.
Yep.
They allowed Chelsea just to do what they like. I thought Aguerd was good in the first half. I thought he was my man in the match all the way up to what happened. But at half time, I was more relieved than anything to get in level, because we could have been losing.
Absolutely, and you're absolutely and apologies, definitely 100%. I know I did mention it in the final thoughts, because the purpose of this, James, is to get the majority of your thoughts and those that are watching live, or even the replay as it stands. But yeah, it's a lot of people were worried about Areola with the penalty, because obviously, when we had the penalty shootout in the League Cup last season, and a couple of other ones as well, if I remember correctly, where we had some penalties they had to save. He didn't save any of them. But at the same point, practice makes perfect. And it was very, very obvious from one point of view. I mean, obviously this is hindsight, but even at the time, Areola's body language was very confident. It's the first time I've seen him confident at a penalty. I mean, obviously we've only seen him really play for or just over 2 seasons, because he was obviously on loan with us the season before last. But he looked like he was ready, and boy, did he prove it! Absolutely, wow, did he prove it? Again, made some great clearances as well for that man. A few touches going into the break as well, so that was very good from that point of view. And yeah, but at the same point, you have to praise Chelsea for how well they pushed us. We could have easily broken. And obviously, of course, Aguerd picked up a booking in the first half as well, which we'll come on to talk about the repercussions of that in a second. But yeah, just a quick shout out. Hello, Cyber Leaders back in the chat. Hello, mate. Good to see you. Leave us your thoughts as we're going along in the live chat. Let us know what you're thinking about this game. But yeah, in general, mate, as me and Charles were saying on the video clip that was filmed at half time, it was very good. Very, very happy with the performance. As I say, because we could have buckled. The way that Chelsea were pressing us, we could have probably easily had about 2 or 3 conceded out of that. Even excluding the penalty. Like you said, Raheem Sterling was absolutely on it. Jackson was throwing his weight around trying to get into positions, and he was getting there just a little bit too early in some guys and late in the others. And then so it comes to the second half, and again I thought we started out well. I mean, there's obviously a lot to talk about. We don't want to go into too much detail about the second half, but at the same point, mate. Yeah, how were you thinking? It was obviously because at half time there wasn't any changes. Because I know a lot of people criticise David Moyes for his tactics and when it comes to substitutions, especially when it comes to half time. What were you thinking going into the start of the second half?
There was a change straight away. I just noticed it as soon as the kickoff happened. You just see West Ham in a completely different shape, or like every pressing trigger, they seem to be on it in the second half. Obviously, we will get to the goal with Antonio, but I thought second half he was brilliant. I'll be honest. As an overall perspective, I thought we defended well. I thought we shut them down. I thought Paqueta second half was a man possessed. He was just different level. Do you know what I'm saying? And what I like in this team, we've got a lot of people who are prepared to sort of play the dark arts to a perfect action sort of thing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It helps us. And I'm not opposed to that. Listen, some people like it, some people don't. When people do it to us, we complain. So we got to get some people in there who are going to do it for us. Do you know what I'm saying? But second half we come out, and I was quite shocked how different we looked. Obviously, Moyes kept them in a bit longer at half time, and Poch had Chelsea out early. I think he basically went in there and said, "Do what you've been doing. Like the goal's going to come." But I've got to give Moyes credit on this one. He's not my biggest fan, but second half he come out and he changed a few things, and we was a completely different team.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously we got the second goal from a work of genius, and to be honest with you, again, James Ward-Prowse with the assist. It's been a long time since we've seen Antonio do that. A long time. But Antonio's performance yesterday is the whole reason why you and I have said it before, and I've said it quite a few times on this channel over the years, that Antonio is the sort of player that you can absolutely get your back. You can get your back up, and you can praise him in the same bloody breath. A lot of the time, he was useless, especially in the first half. I mean, obviously, again, because we were defending to make sure we weren't conceding too many. But at the same point, yeah, that absolute. What a layoff from Ward-Prowse to get it right. It was practically pinpoint accurate with that pass, and one of the first goals I think he scored for a while outside the box as well, for that matter.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Like, I thought first half he was absolutely dreadful. I see him walking about. He didn't look on it. Didn't look interested, if I'm being honest. Second half he comes out yet again. It's the Jekyll and Hyde of Mikel Antonio. That's the thing. 1 minute you see him and he looks like he can't be bothered. Another time he looks like a well beat. I think the goal was good. A very, very good finish. Like, he's hit it as hard as he can through the legs of the Chelsea defender. I think Ward-Prowse with the assist. I think he knows what he's doing there. And you know what? I'm pleased for Antonio, but the problem is he'll do that and then he needs to be more consistent. But that's the problem. He isn't consistent enough, and we need someone who's a bit more consistent than that. But good goal from him.
Yeah,
I'll give him credit on that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the funny thing was just watching the match of the day interview that he did after the game, just before. I'm sorry, the camera's got me all blurred again. That's how I was bloody looking yesterday, mate. Through when I was doing it, I'd had a few pints before and afterwards, man. Don't want to do that again, that's for sure. But yeah, no. The funny thing was, Antonio was saying that he didn't do his normal sort of celebrations because he wasn't sure if he was onside or not. That's the Antonio that we've missed. That player that was always making that sort of push, those sort of runs to get himself in there. And obviously, he didn't do much once he realised he was onside once the goal was given. Okay, but at the same point, just before Aguerd picks up that ridiculous yellow, for that stupid challenge, there's no need for it in any shape or form. I mean, James, just talk us through what you were thinking as that happened.
Oh, man, I was fuming, absolutely fuming. I praised him up. Well, I've got a little WhatsApp group with the E20 boys, and I was saying that he's man of the match now for Aguerd today. I thought he's been excellent, yeah. And then as soon as I say it, about 5 minutes later, he goes and does that foul. Right in front of the
commentator's curse, mate. You know that.
Mate, right in front of the referee, John Brooks, I think it was, who the referee was. And I just looked at it on the screen and I was like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You've just killed us, basically. Do you know what I mean? You've been brilliant all this game. And I thought he was brilliant. People disagree, but I thought he was excellent. I thought his one-on-one defending was good. He scored the goal. He was everywhere, right? And to go and do that, and then I look at him and I think, why are you doing that? Like, you don't have to do it. And I think you're going to see a lot of yellow cards this season. I will say that. I think, and you're going to see a lot of silly yellow cards and all. So yeah, he's got to learn from it.
Well, talking of silly yellow cards, mate, Paquetá. Regardless of all the stuff that people are alleging that's happening at the moment, you were absolutely correct. He played like a man possessed. It wasn't playing that much different to how he played against Bournemouth. It really wasn't. It was just the fact that every now and again he was getting more wound up. Brooks was not exactly refereeing equally, shall we say.
Yeah.
But that's not the reason why we won the game. We won the game because we scored more goals than Chelsea did. But it was just, it's an age-old cliche, mate. At the end of the day, you say to people, just play to the whistle. Now, but the reason why Paquetá was booked was because he was procrastinating, shall we say, at the best of times, with the linesman, because he thought you should have had a free kick out of that. And I agree. I completely agree with the fact that he should have. He had a completely valid case. The problem is he should have waited until the whistle was blown. Fortunately, as a result of it, we were able to get around that pretty well, and it was not because we were on the attack at that point, and Chelsea were able to get around the ball and get it down the other end of the pitch, and fortunately we were able to defend it very, very well. That attack that didn't really come to much because it only got about 6/8 of the way down the pitch before we were able to intercept it. And of course all the banter's going off. Yeah. Well, he's put a bet on himself to be booked at this point in time. Blah 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 blah. But at the same point, mate, one of the reasons why I want to talk about David Moyes' substitutions was because I know a lot of people are critical of him being a reactive manager when it comes to subs, but he was getting Alvarez and Fornals ready to come on when that booking happened, when Aguerd picked up his second yellow. Now, that could have easily changed the game at that point. Obviously, the substitutions kept it going, of course, but everybody was told to sit back down. Obona, the second the yellow. To be fair, watching it from our point of view down at the Bobby Moore lower, I didn't see Brooks give him a yellow. I didn't see it, but because we were, I think some of us were talking about trying to figure out what the hell was going on. We just saw him, then you saw him just walk down the tunnel. I thought, fuck, here we go. We're down to 10 men. We've got 15, 20 minutes left of the game. There's only, the football gods are never happy with us when it comes to London Derby when we're down to 10 men. But, yeah, fair play to Moyes. He brought on Obona as the earliest opportunity to shore up that defence. I know a lot of people have been critical about him having a lot of people have been critical about him having a contract extension for this season, but came on, and personally I thought Obona played well. What are your thoughts on that, mate?
Brilliant. Superb. When Bonner and Zuma are together, you got two very good centre half pairing. Like the two of them together are very good. Now, I said this the other night, and I say it again. 2 years ago, when we had him, and before he got the big injury in Manchester, Zuma and Bonner were very good partnership. Like extremely good. Like one of them was more athletic, and Bonner's positional play is just superb. He's a typical Italian defender. You haven't got to be pacey, but he knows exactly where he is. I'll be honest, when he come on, I was fearing the worst. I was thinking, is he going to get done here? Because they're just running around everywhere. Yeah, and like the West Ham defenders had a nightmare already. All right, Bonner comes on, is it going to be any better? But I thought he was absolutely superb. I thought he come on, and obviously you wouldn't have seen this, but it was on the TV. And he come on, he spoke to Zoom and he said, like, come on, like, let's go, like, as if to G himself up to say this is it, right? And I can accept Angelo Bonner here for another year. Like, one thing I can't accept is him being first choice, but I can definitely accept him being a squad player, 100%. Brilliant performance yesterday.
Well, that's exactly the reason why he was signed the year extension on that, because the thinking is the fact that we're trying to get a younger team. But also at the same point, you need that experience. Is one of the reasons why, obviously, apart from Creswell's move not happening in the way that he was hoping, yet we've still got 10 to 11 days until the transfer window closes, so anything's possible between now and then. But that's one of the reasons why Creswell got his contract extension, was to have that level of experience there. I know a lot of people have been critical of Creswell over the last few seasons. Some of it justified, some of it not. But at the same point. Yeah, it was. I mean, I thought Agued was brilliant for the game, bar those two bookings. But as we always know, you make a mistake, you get punished for it, and he did. And I think we're really going to miss him this coming weekend for the Brighton game. I mean, obviously no spoilers in this instance, but we know we haven't exactly been able to do much down the Amex since they came back to the Premier League. But yeah, I mean, and then as I say, then we James Ward-Prowse comes off, and the new boy Alvarez comes on, Antonio goes off, and Fornals comes on, and Bowen's pushed up front. What were your thoughts when those substitutions happened, mate?
Alvarez is going to be special, John. Out of the signings so far, yeah, I know we've only made two, but Alvarez is going to be a player. Absolute, no doubt about it. I think when he come on, I never had any doubt, because he's an enforcer. He's a sort of person that knows his job like the back of his hand. He comes on. I thought Fornals played well yesterday. Give him his due. I'm not his biggest fan, but got to give him some credit. I'm not on the Bowen centre forward role. I'm not. I'm not one of them ones who say, let's push him up front. I think he's very good as a sort of winger, inside forward, but as a centre forward, I'm not on that vibe. I was happy with the subs. I was happy, but we was up against it, and we was basically defending, like trying to build a wall and see if Chelsea could knock it down.
Exactly. And one of the reasons, like you were saying, was just the fact that bringing on the midfield to shore up the midfield, having the 9 outfield players out there. Agreed. I don't really see the logic of Bowen being up front, but when you're down to 10 men, you've got to have a bit more pace, and that's the exact reason why those two substitutions were brought on. Alvarez, to be honest with you, reminded me of when Fornals first started. He was like a little Jack Russell, and a lot of people didn't see that from Fornals until that Chelsea game where we beat them 1-0 under Pellegrini. Everybody was raving about him after that, but Fornals is going to be a big miss, because we play better when he's on the pitch. I mean, as I say, he started against Bournemouth, and it was one of the better performances we've seen for a long time, bar the Prague final. And as I say, and then having him on after that with Alvarez, and it just seemed to work. So, he pushed out on the right hand side, took up that right winger position, and to be honest, I think Fornals is better on the right than he is on the left. I mean, I've said for many times, and loads of people have said it as well, along the lines of Lanzini as well. Neither of them are really a winger. They're more of a jumping between the 8 and the 10 role from that point of view. But seeing him out on the right seemed to suit him absolutely perfectly.
I can't stress enough how much I think Alvarez is going to be special. Like I've been saying about this man. As soon as we got linked with him, I went, we need to get him here. And this is a Mark Noble right, Mark's identified this man to obviously look to replace Deck in the future. Now, it's going to be tricky for him to get in right now because everyone's playing so good, like especially in the midfield area. But when he does get in, I think he's going to be brilliant. Obviously, with Fornals, it's one of them ones you just don't know what you're going to get. 1 minute he could be amazing, another time he can go missing, and you just don't know. But I think when they come on, they've done their jobs, they've done them well. And one thing I did like about West Ham yesterday, that I don't think no one's really mentioned, is the fight in the team. They was fighting for the shirt yesterday. Like you could just feel it, like you could just see it. Like they was throwing their bodies everywhere and really determined not to lose the game. And yeah, it was superb.
Yeah, and that was one of the things we were going to come on to, obviously, before the end of the game and the third goal with that Paquetá penalty. You can argue that proves that there isn't as much discontent in the background in terms of the changing room and the training field, etc., that everybody thinks that there is. Gabs, good evening, mate. Hope you're keeping well. Is asking how much have I missed? You've missed 26 and a half minutes, mate. That's how much you've missed, because we're pretty much almost wrapping this up, unfortunately. But Gabs, give us your thoughts on how you thought the game went overall, just as James and I are going to come on to it. But yeah, it reminded me of the same sort of performance we had when we went to Chelsea and we beat them 1-0 under Pellegrini when David Martin was in goal. It was a team working for themselves. Now you could argue, of course, because there's still 11 days for the transfer window, that some of them are still trying to put themselves in the shop window. Of course, you can always argue that. I think the first game. Man City, I think, is the first game of September. I think that's probably the real game of where we'll see where the squad really is, from that, playing devil's advocate from that point of view. But at the same point, mate, yeah, it's nice to see West Ham as a team. I'm not saying, we've never been able to experience a West Ham side where there's 11 individuals running around all over the place. We've never ever had that. We've had 2 or 3. We've never had an entire side like the Chelsea tried to show yesterday. But at the same point, it's been a long time, bar the semi-final of the Conference League onwards. It's been a long time from a Premier League perspective where we've seen West Ham play as an actual team. But we saw that against Bournemouth, we saw that against Chelsea yesterday, and hopefully we'll see that against the big boys that Brighton are. I mean, you don't score 8 goals in 2 games and get top of the league if you're a tin pot team in any shape or form. I know they're our bogey side anyway, but at the same point, yeah, it was just it's nice to see that, and long may that continue, because if we start on this decent run, I mean, at the end of the day, mate, I said to the Three Hammers guys, asked the weekend before last, I asked them, would 5 points from 3 games be a reasonable expectation? And we're 90% the way there. I was being a little bit flippant, but I do genuinely think that I'd thought that we were going to go unbeaten for the first 3 games. Picking up a point against Brighton this weekend, hopefully, and picking up a point against either Chelsea or beaten Bournemouth, or, as it turned out, vice versa. So. And just tapping on to what you're saying about a lot of competition with the midfielders at the minute, that's the whole point of why, that's what the whole season's. That's one of the reasons I generally think this is one of the reasons why David Moyes likes to bring in players when the when the season's up and running and there's not much left, because the time left for the transfer window, because at the end of the day it forces these players to prove that they should be at the football club. What do you reckon?
Obviously, we're going to know more from September the 1st. Like, from September the 1st, Luton away is the game on the Friday night. But obviously, that's the transfer window shut. Now, for me, I'm happy with the 2 boys who have signed for West Ham. I think Alvarez is going to be special. I can't stress enough about him. I think JWP, I was sort of sceptical on him, but yesterday if he can deliver them sort of quality stuff on a regular basis, then we've got a really good player there. Do you know what I mean? I actually think we're stronger now without Deck than we was with him. I think we're more of a team. I think we relied on Declan Rice too much. And don't get me wrong, good luck to Declan. Yeah, he's moved on. He wants to go and try and do bigger things. But at West Ham right now, I'm quite happy. I think if we can get a few more players in the door, like Kudus or Mavropanos, like get these players in, right? I'll be very, very happy with the squad as a whole. Do I think we need a few more attacking players? Absolutely. I think we need a striker. I definitely think we need a left-sided winger. But I don't know, John. I'm quite shocked, really, if I'm being honest, how well West Ham have started the season. Because if you go back 3 weeks ago, we lost 4-0 to Leverkusen, and we looked at that team,
James,
right?
It's pre-season. It doesn't matter. mate, last time we went unbeaten in pre-season, what happened? Exactly.
I know, but you know
I know, mate. I know.
1 week to know, right? And I'm quite surprised at how well West Ham was yesterday. West Ham shocked me in that second half, and Moyes does need a bit of credit for that. I'll be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, mate. But going back to the penalty as well, for that matter, that Paquetá was able to put away. What did you think of his run up, mate? Let's be honest. What do you think of it?
Do you know what? I just don't fear him when he takes a penalty. Like he just knows what he's doing. Do you know what I mean? And he does a no-look penalty at 2-1 up in the 90th plus minute. Do you know what? I think him and Emerson work brilliantly well together. Really do. And do you know what I liked with Paquetá yesterday? Is he played the game with Chelsea. Like Chelsea were trying to get into him. Chelsea knew what they was doing. And he got the ball. He won us throw-ins. He's celebrating a throw-in, like at the corner flag, and he's kicking the ball off players and wasting time, and he knows what he's doing. That's the thing. And I thought Emerson with him, I think the setup for the penalty was brilliant, like the back heel, and then Emerson pays the run. And do you know what? I think it shows how good Emerson actually is, because when he's got someone on his wavelength, then you've got a player there who, fair enough, his defending is a bit iffy, but going forward, he's very, very good, extremely good. Like, so yeah, when he steps up for that pen, was I nervous? I actually wasn't, John. I knew he was going to slide it away, because I think you see the passion in the man's face when he scored, and his celebration. I think he's had a lot of grief over the last sort of 72 hours. Do you know what I'm saying? With regards of what's been going on with him on a personal level. I think he just let it all out. Do you know what I'm saying?
Certainly with his celebration. Yeah, that was... You've never seen a man scream that much. But it was great. To be honest with you, mate, and I said it on the Full-Time Thoughts video that I did very late last night, I was probably the only one in the Bobby Moore lower not celebrating because I was laughing too much. It's an absolute fucking piss take, that run up. I hate it. I can't stand watching fucking Paul Pogba's fault bringing that stuff in, or that little stuttering start and all the rest of that stuff. I hate it. I cannot stand it. But it was mind games with the Chelsea goalkeeper, and it paid off. I mean, I did think between the second and the third goal, I did think Chelsea were going to come back in it at some point. It's just they were honest the entire time. But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen 10 men defend and attack that well for a long, long time. I mean, I can't remember the last time we were down to 10 men and we actually played that well. But again, going back to where you were just side talking for a moment, I'm not surprised that West Ham are playing this well. In actual fact, the reason being why is because we had a bloody good squad last season. Something was wrong. We've got a bloody good squad again this season. You know, we've got rid of a couple of people. You know, one extremely good player, and we've needed about 2 or 3 players to replace what he brings to the side. One player that unfortunately wasn't given enough time because for whatever reason he wasn't really happy with being in England. Other than that, it's pretty much exactly the same squad and again, you know, a big cliche, but we bought in 8 new players. It takes a while to set for teams to settle together, as well as new players like waiting for Alvarez to sign. I know what you mean. You know, from what I've seen, what we saw of him yesterday. But granted, it's one game, but he's got all those attributes there. If he does that all, you know, from now until January, he's going to be Hammer of the Year as far as I'm concerned. I generally think he will be. But yeah, no. So folks, as we hinted at earlier, 4 points from 2 games. went into the game sixth on the table. So yeah, it's you know, I generally don't remember the time where we had got any points, or any decent amount of points, I should say, from our opening couple of games. For fucking, how long has it been? Seriously, how long has it been?
Long time. I'll tell you what, I don't even think it was the season we finished sixth, because I remember that the first game of that season we lost to Newcastle 2-0. It was awful, and that was before COVID come in and shut everything down and turned around and said everything's going to be played behind closed doors. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy, but I will know if West Ham have changed their tune against Brighton, because Brighton, don't get me wrong, Brighton are a good side, but then so are we. Like, and that's what we've got to realise, that we are a decent side. Now, if we go to Brighton and we put in the same performance like we put in last season, then nothing's really changed, so to speak. I mean, we've done all right. I expect West Ham to go to Brighton and get something out of the game. After playing that well in the second half, if they go to Brighton and they get done like they got done last season, I won't be happy, John. I'll be like, well, that's one step forward, one step back. It's like, Brighton's a tough game. Don't get me wrong. I'll be honest. Like you said earlier on, 8 goals they've scored now in like 2 games, I think it is. Yeah, and they're on it, right? But then we've got to go there, and we know they're on it, and we know what they're like. We've got to find a way to win, or find a way not to lose, because it seems like we go to Brighton every year and we just donate them 6 points every year home and away.
I know, mate. It's worrying to think that it was literally 11 years ago since we got any points against Brighton, because obviously when we were down in the Championship we got nothing at the MX as well. It was only when we beat them, was it 5-1 if I remember correctly, at home? And
I think it was, I think it was actually 6,
something like that. I remember, you know, it was just a ridiculous scoreline, which, you know, obviously we all hope that it's going to happen again. But yes, mate, so obviously yesterday Areola got man of the match, which I can understand. He had an absolute blinding performance, as we mentioned a couple of times at the start of this conversation. But for you personally, who was your man of the match yesterday?
I would have given it to Aguerd before he got sent off, because I thought he was absolutely excellent. I would have up to the red card. Areola did do well. I think he saved us in the 90th minute when the shot come in and it deflected off Souček. Really good save. Saved the pen. I'm actually going to give it to James Ward-Prowse for me. I think to do 2 assists on your home debut, and he looked like he wasn't out of place at all. Like, he looked like he just slotted in there. The crossing was just brilliant. Like, when the first cross, as I say earlier on, when the first cross come in, I thought he's targeting an area where he wants these players to attack. Give us 5 to 10 games with him playing regularly. These players are going to know where that ball's going, and if they know where that ball's going, we've got some big boys in our team. And I would not surprise me if we go back to being the team that we was a few years ago, when we score from set pieces, we're going to be the highest scorers from set pieces, because we've got someone who can literally cross a ball brilliantly. So yeah, JWP for me, mate. It was excellent. Yeah,
no, it's a good. I do think that there was a. I mean, I said it at the time when he went off. I said it's not the worst of debuts, but it wasn't the best. I mean, of course, everybody praising him he did quite a few decent interceptions, and like you're saying, he got assists for both of the goals in the game. But looking at the bigger picture, it's a great debut, brilliant. Don't get me wrong, but I just thought, knowing how we've seen James Ward-Prowse play for Southampton over the last few years, that you could tell that the players were knowing what he was going to do, because they're used to playing against him, and obviously it was in training for a week and a half, give or take, with him, so they were getting to know that. But there's so much more to come from him. There really genuinely is. But yeah, mate, thank you very, very much for popping on. I did say we'll get you on eventually, mate, but it's just been trying to get the time between the two of us to wrap it up. And obviously, now your time's going to be very difficult in the next week or so, going with the school season starting back up, the school year, I should say, starting back up and that. But James, it's been brilliant to have you on, fella. It's been great to catch up with you, guys. Thank you very, very much for sticking around. For those people that have been watching, I know we haven't had much interaction in comparison to how we did last week, but guys, thank you very, very much. This is why you need to watch the videos that I do, because I did say we were doing this. So again, just as a recap to everybody, the night after a game, we're gonna have a recap conversation with different, hopefully different guests on the time. And all of a sudden, wow, all of these comments have just come through. It's just literally just pinged up now. So see what everyone's saying before and drag it out a little bit. Gabs is saying brilliant result, scary way of playing. This is what I hate about using Chrome. It fucks up sometimes. Gorky boy, welcome mate, good to see you again. We'll be glad when this window closes and we know who we have going forward. It looks very promising, not relevant to the conversation, but thank you next nonetheless. Dale says, JP, I saw you at the fan cams. I wasn't doing fan cams. Somebody else. What else are we? Gab says, we were talking about Declan last year in those terms. I won't agree, I'm afraid. Yeah, it's that's not part of the conversation, mate, from that point of view, but I know where Gabs is going with it. We'll talk about that at another time. Dale saying, both of our left wingers are gone at the African Cup of Nations, so again, still not talking about what we're talking about. Some people don't understand what a recap means by the looks of things. It says Paquetá is one of our best. Is our best player? Is Hound Downs a best? He is class. Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, it was. Delson Emerson is class as well, for that matter. Delson's best left back I've seen in years for us. He's head and shoulders better than Creswell. This is where else have we got here? Gabs is saying he's got big potential, could be our next big player, big regular player, to give him a chance. I think it's talking about James Ward-Prowse there, by the looks of it, which I'm not disagreeing. He said, why give a player a chance he can't stay on side? We are West. Oh, he's chatting shit. But guys, thank you very, very much for sticking around. It's been great to see you all, and yeah, we'll catch you next week. All the best now. Take care.